Hello guys and gals, welcome back to another episode of Haunted Gaming. This time we're going to be taking a look at October's winner for Creepypasta of the Month for Sandra. If you don't know what that is, I used to do it, but I kind of stopped because some of the creepypastas were not gaming related. But, you know, again, I look back at it and it is a democracy, so I'm going to go back to the good old days and just do it every month. Again, your vote counts, so I'm pretty much obligated to do the CPOTM, that's the abbreviation of it, every month. So with that being said, let's do October's winner for Sandra. I got the call that night on December 25th, 2011. The call that would change my life forever. Not that it would go on much longer without you. I felt a cold winter breeze slice through my throat as I tried to scream when I arrived at the scene of the wreck that used to be her car. I dropped to my knees in bitter agony as the white glistening snow crunched around me like crackling bones. After that, I don't remember the night very clearly. In fact, it feels like half of it has been ripped straight out of my very memory. It was a lovely evening. But you had left and gone somewhere. You weren't dead, however. I refused everyone's lies because I knew you were still out there somewhere. So I went searching. I went searching for you, Sandra. Now, the only fragments of you left from that night have faded into ash and dust. I knew that you couldn't be dead because death wasn't real. To say someone dies might imply that everything just goes to the dark despair of invisible sins after they shovel off the mortal coil. But I knew there had to be more to it than that. I knew life was something everlasting in bliss and harmony. That when you were gone from this world, you were just somewhere else, somewhere better. Sandra, I searched and I searched. I searched for so long. I searched all corners of almost every realm of cold and harsh darkness for you, but you weren't there. You were never there. I wanted to give up so badly, but I knew I couldn't let you go because if I did, I would lose myself again. I would get lost in the never-ending pit of the horrid desolation of darkness again. I dashed my way through so many shades of forlorn darkness to find you, Sandra, but none had any glorious light waiting for me. So I stopped looking. I just stopped and sat there in the emotionless, cold, and brutal darkness with my brittle bones rotting away inside of me, just waiting for their demise. As the darkness slowly crept towards me, I remembered your cheerful, joy-filled voice, which at the time only carried on in my memories. I grinned at the thought of seeing you again. There I sat there, just pitying my own existence for days on end, thinking of you and how I'd never ever see you again. You taught me to get through thousands of days of endless darkness, but without you I was worthless. I couldn't even find you. I was not meant for this world. I was meant for the darkness. I was meant to be worthless. I was meant for death. That's how it should have been. I should have paid for my worthless existence with my cadaverine soul for just being there to take up space on the plane of existence. I knew all this was true, and yet I didn't want to give up. Once I heard sirens, whether it was just human instinct, or if it was just being plain greedy, I did not know at the time. So yes, I tried to stay for myself. Everything was still black and getting darker, but I knew I could hear sirens and voices rattling about. Suddenly, a faint light out of the dark distance grew larger ahead of me. It was no glorious light of absolution, no, but it was certainly warmer than the bitter despair I felt in the darkness. I tried to reach out, but my dissolving bones couldn't take it, and my arms lay silent on the ground. Next, I tried yelling and crying for help, but my jaw was misplaced and not enabled for use. My eyes started to singe, and I began to sob. I slowly cracked my frail, dissolving bones into place and tried reaching up to the now fading light. My bones shifted in and out of place with every movement I made. As I reached up towards the dimming light ahead of me, I screamed in pain and heard a long, loud beep before the soothing light grew to pitch black, just to fit the room. I fell to my knees, which hurt like hell, but I didn't care, for a new, even brighter light had started to develop over top of me. I just sat like that, watching as the light shone away the darkness and dried my acidic tears. As a hand reached out before me, suddenly my body was completely restored and I could reach back with ease. Now, before we continue on, this creepypasta actually has two endings to this ending we have right over here, the hand reaching out. One is to reject and one is to reach out for the hand. Now, I'm going to let you pick. There's going to be two annotations on the screen, like BAM right now. Pick between the two, pause the video, choose which one you want, think about it, whatever. If you don't really care, you apathetic individuals, just hold on and the endings will come soon. Some of them are, they're really short, so I mean, you can just chill and watch them if you feel like it. But that being said, you have the option. So I'm going to do the analysis right after the endings, so I will see you then. Your radiant beauty slowly made its way towards me, and I accepted your offer. Your warmth was more intense than the sun itself. I just sat there lifelessly as you lifted me out of the darkness and into the light. Now, I live with you once more, Sandra. I live with you alone in the binding light. But maybe that's okay. My skin was about to make contact with yours, and I could feel your radiant beauty making its way towards me. But I couldn't do it. I snapped my head back, sobbing as my broken bones cracked out of place once more. I'm sorry. I whimpered while the new light faded away, and your hand slowly dissolved along with it. A wave of sorrow hit me like a boulder as I stumbled back to my feet, and lit my way back through the darkness that welcomed me with so much agony. Suddenly, an awful feeling of joy hit me, as I realized that I had finally let her go. It was something I needed to do. I froze in place when I heard the sirens once more. I could hear a voice muttering nonsense over the shallow grave of darkness. I called out for the voice, but nothing was heard calling back. I called once more, hoping to God that someone would answer me. I kept calling and calling. As I did, I could hear the voices becoming clearer and the sirens getting louder until they were bouncing off of my eardrums. A light that was even brighter than yours, Sandra. Sandra suddenly then dissolved into this darkness, and I soon found myself bathing in this light for what felt like hours until I awoke without a moment's notice inside an ambulance, calling your name under my weary breath. And that was the power of democracy, as we just did October 2013's Creepypasta of the Month. Now, this is haunted gaming, or rather, reverse haunted gaming, but I'll get to that a little later. The creepypasta, or rather sad pasta, was more sad than it really was creepy. Don't get me wrong, it was unnerving as hell, and I hope my voice acting helped portray that. Tell me how I'm doing, please. I'm really trying here, but more importantly, it was a creepypasta that built up beautifully and ultimately was about loss of an individual and the slow decline of a person's psyche into denial and depression and extreme despair. All these stages absolutely transitioned just wonderfully, and it did really unnerve the heck out of me as I kept delving into it more and more, and I constantly kept guessing where we were headed next, dreading the next sight, eventually if the person did kill themselves, I don't know. Now, as we can see, our protagonist is denying the loss of this individual that they deeply did care for, and it was pretty much given that the person, again, was suicidal as we kept reading on, especially with the hand towards the end, the light, the constant paramedics, the sirens really, and the feeling of worthlessness. It was told and described wonderfully, and it really did, just click in. Now, for the first time, I believe we have multiple endings, and that's actually really cool. We get to pick out if we go or not, to reach for the hand, really. Now, the content for the endings were alright, kept it, simple, short. I might have wanted a little more out of it in the end, but if we reach for the hand, we ultimately did die, but realized that we were together with Sandra once again, and leave with the notion that it's not too bad. But is it? I mean, give up life rather than move on and experience new things? Wouldn't that be considered weak? I mean, what do you think? If we refuse, we're sorrowful, but we return to the depressing present, but then realize that we let go and, finally move on. I guess both endings have a good and bad to them, and they aren't so black and white like other stories. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, when I said reverse haunted gaming, this creepypasta is the prequel to a game that's being built. Not really prequel, but it's like the creepypasta before the game is finished. So I'm actually waiting for the game to complete. Here's a little screen cap of the game right here to a character model, Daniel. But I'm waiting for the game to come out. I'm a little excited for it. This creepypasta was good, so I can't wait to see it in game form, really. But yeah, that was really it. Now, ultimately, this was an unnerving creepypasta. Not really creepy, but sad and unnerving. But it's not the first time we've had something like this. But this was done quite well. It built up extremely well, too. I mean, you looked at it and everything clicked in, transitioned wonderfully. Now, what would you rate this creepypasta and what would you change to make it better? This has been another episode of Haunted Gaming, and if you like what you saw, then like, comment, and subscribe. By the way, if you guys are wondering what game I'm playing on the screen, it's Shadow of the Colossus HD. You might have seen me play it before. That was the original PS2 version. This is the PS3 upscale version, HD remake or whatever. If you don't know what Shadow of the Colossus is, it's basically a really amazing game. You gotta go hunt through these giant fucking monsters, climb on them, take them down. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a good game, and if you have a PlayStation, Go check it out, try it out. It's a really sweet game. I think it's like 20 bucks on the PSN if you buy it or whatever. But yeah, it's a really sweet game. So if you ever wonder what game I'm playing, I'll always have it in the beginning of the video, description below, and sometimes I'll mention it at the end of the video. But that being said, this is me, Mudaheart. I am out.